Well, hey everybody, Elizabeth Morosco here. I hope you're having a great day. That last little video was a small collage of just a few of the events that I've worked on over the past 16 years of owning my own agency. And anyhow, it was kind of a fun little walk down memory lane and thinking of all the things that I've learned over time. It's part of life, isn't it? We're constantly learning and growing and changing. And as soon as you think you have it figured out, something else will happen. And that sort of is the prelude to why we even started this workshop. So, for those of you that are joining me today, I'm so grateful you're here. And I hope that over this little period of time that we have together, that you get some insight that can actually help you with planning your next special event, whether it's your wedding or a special gala or something like that. Those little tips can make a big difference, and I am so incredibly grateful to have a chance to share some of my knowledge with you. So today we are kind of going in a little bit of a different direction of covering events from the virtual aspect. Yesterday, we talked a lot about trends that are happening in the industry, things to be aware of, and simple things that you can do to prepare your event so it's hiccup free. And that's really what it's all about, isn't it? Taking time to plan ahead so that you can have something wonderful. But I would love to know from you, if you could tell me in the comments, have you planned an event since all this craziness in the past year and a half? Or are you in the middle or getting ready to prepare and plan your upcoming event? I'd love to know from you. If that's you, drop me yes down below. And I think the more that we start getting out there and being proactive and gathering is going to create new opportunity and get things going in a new positive direction. So, with all that being said, I happen to be super excited about my first wedding that I've done, and I can't even tell you how long. That's coming up this weekend, and I had a chance to. You can see in the background here. It's just a little sample of some of the flowers that I've been able to play with this past week, and it's amazing how flowers can bring just such a great, awesome feeling to you. And really, that should be your goal for the most part when it comes to your events, is finding ways to create something that is exciting and engaging and helps you be stress free. So today we're going to touch briefly on technology and tools, also some things of capturing the perfect moments at your event. And if you are doing a hybrid event where it's in person and virtual, how do you do something that can connect the two together? We're going to talk about that too in a little bit. So let me know you're here. Let me know that I'm not talking to myself. We're broadcasting to several locations right now, but I would love to know, by chance, when you were growing up, did you watch the Jetsons? If you did, tell me below. Jetsons. I loved it when I was a kid. And it was kind of interesting to see some of these things that seem so far fetched start to turn into reality, right? Like FaceTime. That's something that, we're seeing all the time now. Getting things in this exciting digital world can be pretty amazing. But, back in the day when Jetsons came out, that seems so far fetched. But here we are. So let me know. When you were a kid, did you watch the Jetsons? Tell me in the comments below. I did. I did. So for today, we're going to be talking on technology and tools, and specifically when it comes to live streaming your event. There's some things that you should be aware of so that you can avoid frustration and allow yourself to create a amazing event without hiccups and technical little glitches that leave you with your hair getting pulled out by your hands. We don't want to do that. So there's a couple of things to be aware of. Like right now, I'm streaming through software that's called ecamm, and I have ecamm taking that software and restreaming it to a platform called Restream. And there's a lot of heavy loading that's happening in the background between video and things like that. But some things can be done very simply, or other things, just like anything, you can become a little bit more extravagant. So, for instance, like I was saying, you can go and stream right from your phone, do a direct stream right from social media. But when you start getting into some of these options of broadcasting your event or your presentation, and you get into, wanting to do audio or graphics or bringing in people to interview, it's going to be necessary to use a service-based application. And there's many of them that you can use. So Restream is one of them. Be Live is another one that's fantastic. I also like StreamYard a lot. It's very easy to use, and they have upgraded so many of the features. It's incredible. And for many cases, those could be applications that would be appropriate and a good fit for broadcasting your virtual event. However, when you start getting into some of these bigger production pieces, you need to make sure that you're using software and tools and technologies that will be able to carry a heavy load. So imagine if you have a ton of concrete and you need to have it delivered to the other side of town. Likely, you're not going to drive a Fiat to deliver 1 ton of concrete. You're going to go get a truck that is equipped to house all of the concrete and it can take that heavy load and drive it down the road for you without a hiccup or getting weighed down, right? Well, the same thing with your virtual event or when you're streaming. So, for instance, StreamYard, excellent application. I love it. But there's some instances where it's not viable for being able to handle certain projects. And that's when it becomes necessary to look at some things that are a little bit more sophisticated. So, for instance, and I promise you, I'm not going to bog you down with a lot of the technical stuff, but I want you to have a broader view of different levels of live streaming that are available so you know that what you're stepping into before you start producing a virtual or a hybrid event. And this is detrimental. This becomes a lifeline to, is your virtual event a success? So, for instance, Mac users, ecamm is an incredible software and it has so many features that are allowed within easily to seamlessly integrate to your event and to be able to carry these heavy loads. If you're a PC user, vMix would be that software platform. And it is a little bit more complicated, but the equivalent to like the free version would be OBS, but that one's a little bit, I would say, takes a little bit more time to get familiar with because it's open software, meaning people are writing code and you're getting it for free. So with anything that's free, it's not usually as good as, something that's solid. But anyhow, so those are things that you should be aware of before you even start getting into producing your event. So let's say that you wanted to have multiple cameras coming in to film an event and you wanted to be able to play a B-roll of video you had recorded earlier during that broadcast, or you even wanted to have a virtual camera that's way off someplace else and to have everything come streaming in seamlessly. Applications like ecamm and vmix are great solutions to make sure that you're able to do that. So moving on really quick, that's like a quick overview to let you know there's different levels of streaming. And some of the things to keep in mind are lighting, camera, your Wi-Fi, and specifically if you're carrying a heavy load, making sure that you're streaming with Ethernet, direct cable connection, and the software things like we were talking about before. If you have the right tools, you can create something that looks like a TV broadcast, but part of it is going to come down to hiring the right talent or having the right training yourself so that you can do these things and creating something that's phenomenal. So I would love to know from you, have you live streamed an event before? Like, have you actually been the one to live stream an event before? And if you did do it, did you stream it through your phone directly to like a social media platform? Or did you use a service-based software such as StreamYard or BeLive or ecamm or vMix? I'd love to know from you. So if you have, tell me in the comments what you've got going on. And I think as we all start getting in there, we start learning a little bit together, right? So Facebook user, I can't see your name, unless you click on ecamm to have permission to show your name. But yes, love the Jetsons. Me too. Good stuff. Good stuff. And maybe people were inspired by those cartoons. So, oh, you're so creative and beautiful work. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love what I do, and I love the team that I work with. But flowers and events and doing things that are a little bit unique are it's very exciting to me, and I happen to love technology too, so I guess it's a perfect fit for virtual and in-person events. So hence why I'm starting to talk about hybrids. Yeah, so thank you for those kind words. I appreciate that. But I would love to know from you if you have done a live stream event, if you used your phone, or if you ended up just, saying, I'm going for the big daddy, and you tied into some of those software applications that are out there. Also, real quick, if you are not a member in our free group on Facebook, what are you thinking? Get on over there. It's free. We're going to be talking about flowers, decor, event planning, and all that good stuff. So if that's something that's up your alley, go on over to Facebook and you can find it at Event Flowers, Decor, and Planning. It's free, it's open to the public, and it's all about spreading knowledge and having a little bit of fun along the way. All right, so one of the big things I think with events is how do you capture these moments and make it feel spectacular? How do you move forward and make it where people don't feel like they're stuck in a virtual event and still not a part of what's going on in real life? And fortunately, there's so many different tools and strategies that you can use to make that possible without having like a big headache that's tied along with it. So, the first thing to look at when you're trying to make this connection of making people feel like they're involved is sit back and ask yourself how does this event make you feel? How is it going to make the guest feel? Is it something that's formal? Is it laid back? Is it fun? Is it wild? Is it, a natural kind of thing? What is that feeling that you're trying to have your guest experience when they participate in your event? And this is whether it's virtual or in real life. And when you start to have that front and center in your mind, that's going to allow you to build an event with that sort of feeling in mind. Whether it's the decor, the entertainment, all the little details that come together to create that event. Think about, will those actions reinforce the feeling that you're trying to share with your guests? And another way of being able to do that is, as you're coming up with these ideas, is come up with ways to make it interactive. And this is whether in person or virtual as well. There's different personalities that will come to events. And when you are the host, whether for a corporate event or a private event or a wedding, it's your responsibility to make your guest feel comfortable. And one of the things that I find really interesting on weddings is, yes, we've all heard it is the bride's day and the groom's day, but we've all heard that. But really, the truth, traditionally, when it comes to weddings are representing obviously two people coming together, but it also represents that couple's first opportunity to entertain their guest. And if you're a true hostess, a hostess with the mostess, even if you are the bride, you should be looking at what are the guests experiencing? How are they feeling? How are they experiencing what's being rolled out? If you make that the center of what you create, you're going to have an amazing event that people talk about for many, many years. And I have seen and heard of some people that become self absorbed and egotistical. And part of it, maybe the bride thing. Most brides aren't like that. I think that was kind of like blown up on TV. However, the ones that do, where they make it just about themselves, the guests usually aren't happy. They're less engaged, they're less thrilled because you've made it all about them. And this is with corporate too. How many times have you gone to a rubber chicken dinner banquet and then you have somebody that's standing at the podium talking about nonsense that's not even, it's not even necessary for 45 minutes before you eat. Now, don't get me wrong, there's times that there's banquets and there's reasons to have these announcements, but there's oftentimes people will drag it out and they'll do like an hour long, presentation at a black tie event. A lot of times they don't want to do that. People want to be entertained, they want to be engaged. Or going back to the wedding of times where the bride will do whatever and food's delayed or whatever, stuff happens. But there's also times where human beings are a little bit selfish, and if you want your event to be amazing, I want to encourage you to be the hostess with the mostest. Be kind, think ahead of time as far as things that you can do to make your guests feel comfortable. And it could be simple things like, this is something that I do encourage some of my clients to do for events where maybe people don't know each other. During cocktail hour, you can have like little cue cards with trivia questions. If it was a wedding, it could be, do you know when the couple met, or do you know where they had their first vacation, or, whatever. Fun things that get people talking and get the conversation flowing. And often when you're the one that is planning out your event, you're comfortable, who's, invited and what's going to happen. But somebody that comes and attends, whether they're invited as a guest or they pay for a ticket, some of them might not know what to do. They don't know what's going to happen. Some people have maybe a little bit of social anxiety and they might need a little bit of coaching along the way. There's things that you can do that can be considerate as a hostess that allows that provision for them to feel at ease. Have you ever experienced that, like where you go to someone's house and you walk in and you just feel like, oh, I feel at home, like I feel so welcomed. I feel so good being here. Versus when you go to somebody else's house and they're cold and they're sterile and it's horrible. It's a different experience. And people will remember the way they feel more than what was said or what happened. And I want to encourage you to do things to make people feel good. Think about what are all the things that are happening from their senses. Senses smell. When they walk in, do they walk in and it smells fresh and vibrant? Are they greeted with a smile? Are they given something that makes them feel engaged or where their mind can start working? Or is it just, sit your ass there, grab a drink, and shut up? It's awful. In fact, I got to tell you, a couple weeks ago, I went with my mom and I to a restaurant. I'm not going to say the restaurant, and I'm going to go light because I know everybody's getting back to work. So bear with me. I'm not being whatever. I'm just being me. We walked into the restaurant, and it reeked. Horrible, like a frat room. Horrible. It actually smelled like old rotten cheese in an alley. It was bad. The floor was sticky, and my mom had just had knee surgery. She had both of her knees replaced. So as we're walking through, she's kind of wobbling and trying to get to her spot. And the waitress was obviously very agitated. She was in a bad mood, whatever. I get it. They're short staffed. I get it. Okay. And then the short of it is she proceeded to bring our drinks and literally slammed them on the table. And I thought, what the hell am I at? What's that restaurant called that's in Chicago where they're really rude to you? What's the name of that place? I can't remember. If you remember the name of it, tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments. So, anyhow, she throws down the drinks and then later brings coffee and slams it down. And finally it was like, we're leaving because I can't do an hour of that and pay for it. And I get it. People are short staffed. I am not being snickery, but I had just worked a really long day. I she's not my wife, she's not my husband, she's not my best friend. I just wanted something to eat with my mom. I didn't want stuff thrown down on the table. So as soon as I walked into the restaurant, it smelled bad, it was dirty. No, it was a snarl instead of a smile. I get it, but then I think when the drinks came and it got tossed down, and then the coffee creamer came and it got slammed down, I thought I'm not making it through a burger. It's not happening. We gotta go. So we left, went to another restaurant right down the road. Completely different experience. We walked in, it was clean, the floors were clean. We actually got greeted by not one but two people. Hey, how you doing today? Can I get you something to drink? Hey, blah 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 blah. Now you don't have to kiss my rear or anything, but within 3 minutes, that's all it took, was 3 minutes. That experience was completely different. 3 minutes of walking into a door. And these become the defining things that are going to be the impression that's left with your guest. And nobody's going to be perfect. Mistakes are going to happen. I get that. But I want you to be in tune with what is the experience that you're creating for your guests when they walk in. Are they greeted and know exactly where to go sit? Do they know, what they can do? And from a virtual end, I'm going to flip it over into the online part. And from a virtual end, when people are logging onto your event, do they understand what's happening, what's going on? Is there dead space online where they don't feel like they're connected? Are you doing something to engage with them to be a part of the event? And this doesn't have to be strictly online. It could be doing some of these care packages that you send to their home that has items that tie into what's going to happen while they're watching live. I've heard multiple couples that have done slices of cake that they're sending out, and then everybody would have cake together. So it's still like a part of that experience. And those couples are tying into what are the senses. What senses are we tapping into to engage our guests so that they feel like they're a part of this very special day? And it's important for you if your event is important to you. So next thing, I want to talk to you about a couple things that are super important. And this can be the saving grace or a nightmare for your virtual event specifically. So when it comes to items like entertainment, it's important to make sure that even your online guests are being entertained in some ways. There are some really cool things that they're doing right now digitally, including the spin the wheel for a prize, or different interactive games that people can play while they're watching live, or even people that are at the event and watching live. We're going to talk about a couple of those things in a little bit, but there's a lot of innovative things that you can do to make it entertaining. In fact, tomorrow, if you come back on tomorrow, I'm going to share with you a couple of the fun visuals that you can use to, make the screen a little bit more interesting, including like confetti and fireworks and snow. I'm going to show you all these different little features from an online standpoint tomorrow. If you want to come back in and tune in, I'll be sharing that with you. Okay, so now this is the scoop. Music. This part can literally get your live event shut down if you don't handle it right. If you have copyright music, you can't play it while it's live, or that you can't play it recording up, because it'll get cut. The audio will cut. So you could be broadcasting your beautiful event and you've got some great music playing in the background and it's copyright. Your audio's gone. So if it is like, for instance, your wedding and you're doing, your first dance and you've got this song that's really special to you, there's some things that you can do, whether adding links so people can listen to what you're dancing to, or even dubbing over. This is why that software I was telling you about is important. Like, you have the bride and the groom dancing, and if you shut off the audio where that's coming from so the stream isn't picking up that music, you can overlay it with copyright free music, or some of these music applications that they're using, online, like I did at the beginning when we were listening. That's a paid program that I use to be able to broadcast out that music. But the big thing is if you're going live in your event, you want to make sure it keeps going. So music is something that's super important for you to look at, and do it in advance. Don't wait till the last minute and just put some quick trashy clips that you found online. You want to think it out throughout like the whole event. So if you're imagining like a process flow chart of your event, like what are all the stages that are going to happen? What are different music genres that are appropriate for different times? And this is applicable to corporate or your private party wedding. You want to make sure that you don't miss out on that. For me, I use audio sound. It's a great one. There's the Artist IO. That's another one. Epidemic Sound is another one. Those are great places to go to get your music. You typically pay a monthly fee, and it gives you access to those license. Maybe tomorrow when I come back, I'll create a list of some of those links in case you're interested in. But it takes time, like sorting through the music, and I have to tell you, they've come so far with those alternative music choices for your event. So you're not stuck with something that just sounds ugly and gross. So keep that in mind. Oh, wait, really quick. So it's important. So if you're doing your live stream, something else I want you to consider is looking at incorporating recorded video to bring in this next dimension of your virtual event. It could be like if it was a wedding, it could be before the actual broadcast of the ceremony happens. Maybe there's B-roll of your love story of how you met, how you connected, where are you guys going, what are your dreams? Or it could be interviews from different guests that are used in a video collage to talk about your love and this new journey that you're going to have as husband and wife. So those are really fun, simple things for weddings. Even for business, it could be doing a promotion of talking about what product do you have coming up, or celebrating the person that event surrounds. So think of things that can be done in advance and then incorporated back into your event, and have fun with it. And mixing that with the live, it does make it kind of fun. Start looking at some of the I'm not a fan of the Emmys anymore, but if you look at how they have it set up, it's a combination of people talking live on stage, and then they have some video clips of either from the movie, from whatever is up for nominees. But look at that. Like, look at how it's all those different layers coming together, and then consider how can you incorporate that into your own event. So a little bit of fun. But the one of the key things is making that connection between online and offline, and how the heck can you do that to get that feeling of connection when you have maybe people from all over the world that are watching, or some people that are in person, and then there's just people that are on TV. And I'm going to go back to even like the Emmy thing that I was talking about. Typically they'll have the audience that's there, people that are up for awards and their loved ones, but there's also that interaction that the people are talking directly to the camera. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing consistently with so many organizations, is they're trying to treat the virtual event like it's the in-person event. They're trying to treat the production of a virtual event just like it is in person, and that's not the way to do it. So for starters, like if you're doing an in-person event and it's a big ooh rah rah, you probably shouldn't have somebody that's at the other end of the room shouting and yelling and whatever to the camera. Instead, having that engaging moment where it's actually talking to the camera instead of acting like you're talking to a big audience. You are talking to a big audience, but it happens to be digitally. So consider that for moving forward. Some of the other things that you can do that can make it really fun, and this just comes down to the event that you map out, but using things like QR codes and hashtags and following up in a unique way. And that could be including having, a scavenger hunt of QR codes that are listed throughout the virtual event that lead to a clue to a prize or something like that. Or having people use hashtags and they're selected for a prize or an experience or whatever. And that also helps build up sort of that momentum of your story that's unfolding through your event when people are using those hashtags. And make sure that you follow up. Like, don't just leave it open ended, that's where you're at after, my event's done, that's it. Find some ways to become a little bit more playful and look at it in a fun way. So next thing, really quick, and maybe tomorrow I'll show you an example of some QR codes. I've been using it a lot lately. In fact, about 3 years ago, I was at a conference, and I was given a suggestion. You should start using these QR codes, and they were explaining to me how they were on the verge of coming back. At the time, they were pretty prevalent in Japan, and there was this undertow of a lot of marketing people that were coming out of California that were starting to push it. So I did get that heads up, and I started using it. I'm really grateful because it's, I think, very resourceful. But it was funny because I was telling one person about it, about the QR codes, and I remember the response was, "Oh, please, not happening." And now what do you see? You see QR codes freaking everywhere. Everywhere. It's insane. I'm seeing it in print and at restaurants and at the movies, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And they're going to continue to grow because they're helpful. And there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with QR codes. You can even embed like a little image of, kissing lips or your wedding date or your monogram or your corporate logo. So the big thing is just to have some fun with it, and find ways that you can make your event just a little bit more interactive and play, And we're always learning. So really quick, I want to talk to you about some different event resources, because if you are to the point that you're ready to take that next step and start planning your event, if you're working with the right team, you can save time, headache, frustration, and on top of it, you can come up with innovative ideas that will make your event uniquely you and fun for your guests. So if you are planning on an event in the upcoming future, I want to encourage you to go over to elizabethmarosco.com. Oops, I see a typo on my slide. I see a typo. It's marosco.com. Marosco.com/beam events. And if you go over there, you're going to see an opportunity to sign up with a new group that I'm launching that is going to be focused. Let me go back over here. That's going to be focused on helping individuals and organizations plan their next big event. So the cool thing is with this upcoming opportunity, it's not just a series of videos that you watch. We have a training library where you can dig into a bunch of videos and get training for events. But on top of that, this also gives you access to a monthly one-on-one consultation with me to help you work through your event planning and strategy. There's also going to be a weekly group video live stream with Q&A. So if you have questions, you feel stumped on planning your next big event, you're going to be able to have a team available that can help you navigate through that and figure out, hey, what do we do? And the big thing is with events, some of them they require more than maybe a group. They may require the need for more hands-on or more involvement or a strategic game plan for success. And if that's something that maybe you fall under that category, I'd like to encourage you to set up a free 30-minute consultation with me over the phone. Look on the screen over. Whoops, there. No, yep. Look over there. And if you go over there, you'll have access to my calendar and you'll be able to set up a free consultation with me. It'll give me a chance to hear about your event, your project, your vision, what you're doing, and you'll at least get some golden nuggets that you'll still be able to apply right to your event. So, it's super important to make sure that you have the right team to help you execute an event and to have some fun along the way. And I happen to specifically, I love working in events. It's constantly changing. It's an industry that I think brings so much joy and so much, even like the fundraising and things like that that people can do, or the couples that celebrate their love. The events celebrate the goodness in life. But what I've discovered is when you have the right tools and the right team, you can reduce a lot of your headache and frustration and create something that is phenomenal. So often people just, spread all this stuff all over the place instead of making a concentrated effort on their project. Sometimes you don't have to do 50 million things. Sometimes it's just one wow factor that you bring to your event that can make it have that cutting edge that you're looking for, something that's reflective of you. And that's what we aim to do. So I'm trying to see here. Nope, I don't have that. I was going to show you guys one other video clip, but you'll have to come back tomorrow if you're interested. You want to know a little bit more. But in the meantime, I appreciate all of you that came in and hopped on for a little chat about event planning. And I hope that over the past 2 days, you got something out of this. But you can always go visit me online at elizabethmorosco.com and get some pointers for different projects that we have that might be able to help you. But with your next event plan, make sure that you are having some fun. And yeah, that's all I got for you for today. But all right, you guys, in the meantime, take care of yourself. And I would love to have an opportunity to maybe chat with you about your next event. So make sure you go check out one of those links and let's connect. All right, take care, guys.